So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BFR here, analog and also in the internet and the world. Hi, good to see you today here in our conference to alternative proteins. Welcome everybody, and I think this conference on alternative proteins and food and feed just meets the requirements of many people, or the regulators, the assessors, scientists, politically interested people, NGOs. So I think we are far in front, and you join us with all this experience of today and the next days. It's our pleasure to bring together such a diverse group of scientists and innovators, entrepreneurs, policymakers from across the globe, all united by a common vision at advancing safe, nutritious and resilient protein solutions for the future of our food and feed systems. In total, we received 279 registrations from all the world, but I don't know exactly, could be a little bit more in the last seconds. However, we want to discuss various aspects regarding alternative protein sources for food and feed purposes. So, just for you, if you're not familiar with the BFR, we are an independent institution of the Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture. The tasks of the BFR include the identification of hazards in food and feed and the risk assessment which follows, but even more important is the prevention of food and feed hazards through the expertise of experts from various disciplines. We are an independent body. We are a child of the BSE crisis. The mad cow disease has changed everything in Germany, and one thing is a twin was born. So our sister office is a federal office for food and consumer protection. This is the political side, the risk management, and we are the risk assessors, the independent voice of science. So I think in EFSA probably it's almost the same system. Yeah, for this reason we have taken the initiative to organize a conference of alternative proteins here in Berlin together, because we're not alone, with Mattis from Iceland, the EFSA, the FDA, US FDA, this is what we always have to say because there are many FDAs in the world already, and the Singapore Food Agency. We are facing an urgent challenge of the food security and environmental sustainability. Not only the growing population of 10 billion people in 2020, but also climate change will not make more arable land available. Of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals defined by the United Nations, 7 are dedicated for food security and alternative proteins. And at the European level, this is reflected in the European EU Green Deal, which aims to transform the EU into a zero-emission region by 2050. This conference provides an important platform to explore the transformative potential of alternative protein sources, from plant proteins and insect proteins to cell-cultured meat and algae-based solutions. Together, we have the opportunity to explore how these innovative sources can feed a growing population while addressing the urgent need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, conserve natural resources, and promote a circular economy. Over the next 3 days, you will hear from the international experts on the 3 major topics, starting with an overview on the landscape of alternative proteins, the opportunities and challenges of alternative proteins in food and feed, and the role of these proteins in sustainable food and feed systems. So it's a highly complex schedule. In the afternoon of the last day, you will actively participate in a panel discussion with selected experts who will share their views on the role of alternative proteins in all these systems. This event also offers a valuable forum for discussing the latest technological advancements from safety and nutritional aspects to agricultural consideration of crops, providing alternative proteins. As we explore ways to improve protein quality, nutritional profiles, and scalability, we are pioneering a path towards food system resilience that considers not only human consumption but also sustainable feed solutions in agriculture and livestock. Equally important, we will delve into consumer acceptance, market trends, and evolving regulatory frameworks that shape this dynamic sector. I think that's something you always have. Science goes in front, and then regulation has to follow. Sometimes it's the other way around, but I think here are many things to do in the future. So the success of alternative proteins will depend on building consumer trust, navigating policy landscapes, and ensuring food safety and quality standards. And this is also dependent on the culture. So on my last visit at CEFSA here, I've seen the colleagues in China. I was told that we like some insects. And I told them that for us it's very difficult, to get acceptance in our population. So it's something, which is under development. We have to feed them all. So I want to express my deepest gratitude to our partners and to everyone involved in making this conference possible. I also extend a warm welcome to our speakers and panelists who bring an exceptional range of expertise and vision into this conversation. Let us make the most of the few days to share knowledge, forge new collaborations, and create actionable pathways for integrating alternative proteins into the mainstream of food and feed research. So I think today we are not only in a hybrid format, but the people which are here analog, use the opportunity to meet people like they are, though you can talk to them, you can feel them, they have vibrations. And I found out in my long years working in science that personal relation is also a good basis to start new cooperations. Thank you for all being here, but also following the conference online, and I look forward to the productive and inspiring conference ahead. To this end, we are part of a global network of risk assessment institutes from all regions of the world that meet regularly and exchange their expertise and information. And this exchange plays a particularly important role in being prepared for the new risk of new food coming onto the market. For this reason, the BFR has taken the initiative to organize a conference, and here in Berlin, together with FDA, EFSA, and Singapore Food Agency. So, and to make you a little bit more keen, what happened in the next days, I want to show you your dinner. So it's a full meal. I think we can share it. I think it's crunchy grillen. What's grillen? Cricket. Smoked, crunchy cricket. And all of you will get also a lolly with interesting insects inside. Change also it change the taste. Okay, so I think I am on the end, and I'm very pleased, to give the floor to our State Secretary Bender. She found the way to the outer parts of Berlin from the center. It always takes time, but she is here today. I'm very pleased. So, Ms. Bender, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much. Professor Hensel, Mr. Gunnarsson, Professor Chan, Dr. Musser, Dr. De Sese, and especially distinguished experts from Germany and abroad. I am delighted to be able to welcome you all here. And I would also like to extend a warm welcome to those of you who are participating online. Minister Cem Özdemir has also asked me to pass on his very best wishes to you all. Your conference focuses on a topic of the future, which is currently gaining political weight at EU level. Minister Özdemir and his Danish counterpart, Jacob Jensen, started an initiative 2 weeks ago. It calls upon the European Commission to draw up a European protein strategy. 19 other member states in the Agriculture and Fisheries Council have supported the initiative. The supporters of a European protein strategy want it to promote research and innovation and to make proteins for food and feed more readily available in the EU. Efforts have been made in Europe for some time to strengthen the production, processing, and use of domestic proteins in food and feed. The main goals are to improve environmental protection and climate stewardship, to strengthen regional value chains, and to increase the supply of protein from domestic production. The pandemic and the Russian war of aggression in Ukraine have also shown that we must focus more strongly on the security of our food supply. We have been pursuing this goal in Germany for quite some time. In 2012, we introduced our protein crop strategy, which promotes the cultivation and use of regionally produced plant proteins. We are currently developing this strategy into a protein strategy that focuses on all types of alternative protein sources. We are convinced that this could open up alternative or additional sources of income for agriculture, but also for processing. We therefore launched an extensive stakeholder process in recent months. We plan to present the protein strategy in early summer of 2025. We have at the same time set up a center of expertise for proteins of the future in the Federal Office of Agriculture and Food. This center will drive networking and prepare and disseminate information. We all know that we must make agriculture and our food systems more sustainable to ensure that we still have safe harvests in 10, 20, and 50 years' time. Alternative proteins are key to enhancing sustainability in this regard. Compared with conventional animal proteins, production of alternative proteins is usually more resource-conserving and environmentally friendly. This is why it is so important that we get more of these proteins on our plates and in the feeding troughs. There are many opportunities here, not only for a sustainable resource-conserving circular economy, but also for enterprises and new areas of business. Winston Churchill is supposed to have once said that the pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, the optimists see the opportunity in every difficulty. Many people move between these poles, even today. The deciding factor is to weigh up opportunities and risks intelligently. That is exactly what we are doing by supporting those who are trying out new approaches and by targeting research and startups for support. But we are also doing so by, for example, helping to better dovetail supply and demand. This all serves to accelerate the progress we need in the food and agricultural sector, nationally, in Europe, and globally. At the same time, it is clear that there must be no backsliding on safety. The use of safe feed in animal nutrition is the prerequisite for the safety of the food chain and the protection of animal health. We must therefore establish good professional practice in innovative areas as well, as this can then support all economic operators in complying carefully and strictly with the complex legislation. A glance at your conference program shows the diversity of the topics associated with the future of alternative proteins. That is why what you are doing there is so valuable. The fact that you, with your expertise, are discussing these crucial issues of the future, the safety, nutritional value, and consumer acceptance of new protein sources, the issue of how we can ensure that possible health risks are recognized and assessed in good time, and also what regulatory measures are necessary. That is why it is so valuable that you are enhancing international networking. We can then make the best possible use of the opportunities that alternative proteins offer for the transformation towards more sustainability in a scientifically sound and practical manner. Thank you, and I wish you every success.
Good afternoon, distinguished Chancellor, co-organizers, and my dear friend Andreas Hensel, which I have had the opportunity to work with for a very long time. I am extremely proud that we were able to participate in coordinating this and establishing this forum here today, and I find the matter of extreme importance. MATIS is a small governmental company institute, but we carry a great responsibility in Iceland. We have the responsibility of taking care of the value creation of the national resources of Iceland, and they are very variable, and we have a lot of them. Geothermal, extremophiles, there's a lot of things we need to look at. And we have also, through the centuries, Iceland has not been all that unfamiliar with alternative proteins. For example, in the Middle Ages, Iceland supplied Europe with alternative protein during the fast, the bacalhau, the cod, the fish, which was a substitute for the meat during the fast. As I mentioned, MATIS and BFR, we have a cooperation which dates back 20 years. Me and Dr. Hensel, we met at a European project, Seafoodera, where we were looking into food safety together and trying to align these resource organizations which are working on food safety. And I think we made a good work of that, and there is a lot of cooperation still going on there. And Dr. Hensel, he has met with at least 3 or 4 Icelandic ministers of food in Iceland, and so we value this cooperation very much. But there are different times, and there is more and more of us. And the old ways, they are not enough today. And we can see that also when we look at our fisheries. 90%, 95% of our fishery goes to export. There is a increased competition between food and feed. And you can see, if you follow the prices of oil and meal, they are just skyrocketing. And there is a lot of challenges we need to face there. But the challenges that this brings along, they are, how do you say, you have another problem with that. When you are dealing with this need, you have the problem of food safety, food security, and sustainability, and they do not go hand in hand in this. We do need to take our risk assessment. I think we need to develop a totally new set of risk assessment to face that, because the challenges on the way, they are huge. But I believe that this event will be a very important milestone on the way of solving this, because the scientists here and the experts, hopefully they will lay ground to many projects that will work on this problem, which is a huge problem, and solve and try to bring together food safety, food security, and sustainability. And that needs to be the final words when we think about alternative proteins. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. So I'd like to greet all of you from the National Center for Food Science. So my name is Joanne Chan, the Center Director of the National Center for Food Science. So I would like to express my appreciation to our fellow conference organizers, BFR, EFSA, MATIS, and USFDA for organizing what I'm sure will be a fruitful conference on alternative proteins. I'm very glad to see both familiar faces from US, from all over, and also new faces representing governments, academia, and the industry from all around the world. The National Center for Food Science, because some of you may not know, just to give you a brief introduction, consists of about over 100 scientists performing various food safety functions based on scientific methods and data. Specifically, we conduct rapid food safety diagnostics, research and exposure science studies, as well as risk assessment and communications to support SFA's mission to ensure and secure a supply of safe food. Within SFA, which is a Singapore Food Agency, the National Center for Food Science also lead work on food safety and regulatory aspect of new and innovative foods such as alternative protein by conducting risk assessments, carrying out food safety research, and contributing to the regulatory policies through scientific evidence. With changing consumer preference and global stresses, such as climate change and supply chain disruption, alternative protein provide more options for safe, sustainable, and secure food. So we see that it's not going to save our food security problem tomorrow, but definitely it is, it is something that we see that in the future there is a possibility of alternative proteins such as cultivated cell. So in Singapore, as you are aware, we have approved 2 cultivated cell products, which is cultivated chicken cell and cultivated quail. So, however, certain alternative proteins that are considered to be novel or new foods introduce uncertainty in terms of regulatory and safety aspects. So in this area, the Singapore Food Agency has been working closely with like-minded partners to co-develop international standards and guidelines for cell-cultivated foods, also known as cultured meat. So just last week, at the 47th meeting of the Codex Alimentarius Commission, Singapore held a side event to highlight the importance of the role of Codex in addressing food safety challenges associated with cell-cultivated meat. We have also worked closely with international organizations such as the FAO to build and share knowledge in food safety and regulatory aspect of new food sources and production system, including microbial proteins and food products made with precision fermentation. So these are the newer ones that we are seeing on the market. One example would be Solar Foods, Solane. While food safety is the foremost consideration when introducing innovative alternative protein into the food chain, it is not the only consideration. Regulations, nutrition, consumer perception, and the other aspects on the environment and society all come into play. So I'm happy to see that all key aspects of the Alternative Protein Conference will actually discuss these various aspects. I'm sure that this discussion will lead to greater acceptance of alternative proteins, if not now, but in time to come, so that we can ensure that they are developed safely and sustainably. So I look forward to engaging and future conversations with you at this conference. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. It's really gratifying to see so many people here interested in this very important topic. FDA, as probably many of you, US FDA, thank you for that, as many of you know, has been engaged in looking at alternative proteins for decades and evaluating the safety of alternative proteins. And what's really fascinating to me as we look at this process is that some of these proteins that we consider new and novel now, such as dinner, aren't really new and novel in many parts of the world. So if you're in Mexico, you can go get a cricket taco pretty much anywhere. So some of these proteins are maybe new to us, but certainly not new to many parts of the world. The other really fascinating part of novel proteins is the vast array of uses that they have, from enzymes that might be used to process food to ensuring new traits in crops that lead to maybe downstream applications like healthier oils, drought resistance. There is just a vast array of qualities of proteins that aren't just edible. They may be just part of the process. There's also food sustainability modifications that allow for longer shelf life and greater transportation quality of the food as it goes from one place to another place, and changes occur in the production environments. Additionally, there are completely new proteins that represent particularly difficult problems for all of us, and really important to have everyone here talking and thinking about how we manage these new proteins. And I can tell you they, again, range in a huge variety of cases, to fairly simple things to completely new and novel proteins that are aimed at reducing the allergenicity of, say, peanut, which is the most common allergen in the U.S. So there's a lot of innovation going on, and I think what you'll hear in the next couple of days is how all of that fits together and all those little pieces and how they're valuable to us. I'll leave you with just a few other things to think about during the course of the conversations today, and that is, you can do something, but is it really viable? Is it really something that can be commercialized and is practical? So you could put, for example, casein, milk protein in soybeans. That would not be that difficult to do, and yet now you're introducing an allergen. And are you really going to be making more milk protein than you could make conventionally? Is it really a practical solution to solving the growing need for proteins? And lastly, you've done this great job of creating this new protein, and it's healthy and it's safe, and we've approved it. Will anyone buy it? Is it socially acceptable? Is it something that the population and consumers are going to embrace? And how do we, as people who are trying to feed a growing population, help people understand that it's safe and that it's healthy and that it's something that is in their best interest, as opposed to letting all of that work go to waste? So I'm looking forward to a really exciting couple of days. This is you're going to hear some really fabulous talks and hear about some really interesting ways of using proteins and alternative proteins. And thank you all again. Thank the organizers. It's just really good to hear from all of you and see you all again. So thank you, and I hope you really do enjoy it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My turn to welcome you all here in the room and online also. Very good attendance, and that's really exciting to see how many of you have answered the call to be here. I want to thank our host, the German Federal Institute for Risk Assessment, the BFR, and all my co-organizers. It has been a pleasure to work with you to put together this event. You made it possible, and that's excellent. I think you heard it already. We are at this difficult crossroad where, on one hand, the world, societies around the world need to produce more food, more protein, while, on the other hand, we need to protect and regenerate the ecosystems on which we rely to produce this same food. It's a complicated equation, and we need innovation. Business as usual will not work. More of the same will not work. We need innovation everywhere, from how we produce food, how we transform food, how we consume food. And in this panorama, alternative protein, alternative sources of protein have a role to play. On this backdrop, the role of the European Food Safety Authority is relatively simple. We conduct scientific assessment of food in general, novel food, novel protein, before they can get access to the European market. We ensure they are safe and we ensure they are nutritious. And then we communicate about our work, about our scientific assessment, so that stakeholders and the public at large can trust the science. In 2018, the European legislation changed. The mechanisms for authorizing novel food was centralized at European level, and the European Food Safety Authority started to receive applications for novel food. Since then, we have assessed and concluded about 120 novel food applications, covering things we heard about, insects, protein from plants. And this has been a lot of work. Our scientific panel for nutrition and novel food, 18 experts from all over the scientific regulatory work that convene in EFSA, have worked very hard because of the diversity of the field, the diversity of applications that was coming at them, and because also of the relentless innovation by industry in this field. So building on all this experience, in the last couple of weeks, I think, we released an updated guidance on how to do the risk assessment of novel food, and one of my colleagues will talk to you about this in more details tomorrow. This challenge of dealing with innovation, keeping pace with industry innovation for the regulator, it's not new, it's not specific to novel food or to food. It is something we deal with every day at EFSA, which keeps us busy every day. Just this morning, with colleagues from the BFR and from the FDA, we were talking for 3 hours about how to bring new alternative methodology to reduce animal testing into the regulatory process. This is a daily work we do, and we have one aim, which is to minimize the time lag between the time when innovation from industry come to life and the time when we have a methodology to assess the risk in a proper way, in a fit-for-purpose way. And as I said, it's our daily work. We have tried many things. We are not always completely successful. It's really a challenge. But there is one thing we have learned, which works every time. It's collaboration. There is no better way to develop our methodology than to bring together regulators like us, partner in regulatory science, industry, stakeholder, the scientific world, and the public at large. At the European level, but also internationally. And that's why I'm so excited to see your attendance, to see this conference coming to life, because this is really a tribute of what we can achieve via cooperation. And looking at the program, it's also really exciting with panelists from international organizations. We have the WHO in a few minutes. We will have the FAO also. So really a broad range of speakers, and all the panelists coming from internationally from the scientific world and the regulatory community. So this is really one of the perfect examples of how, by coming together, we can tackle the challenges that are in front of us. So before I conclude, I simply want to wish to all of you a very productive and enjoyable conference, to have meaningful engagement, to have meaningful exchanges, to forge new connections, so that in 3 days we come out a little bit more ready, a little bit stronger as a community to tackle what is in front of us and to shape together the future of safe and sustainable food system. Thank you.